Hi, it's Tabletop Templar here, and today I'm talking about how to do a replay for a complete season for the game Dice United. So, I've been playing Dice United for a little while now, released a few videos on it, and it seems to be a pretty fun game. And so, naturally, the question is how do you go about doing a full season? Is it feasible? How would you organize it? You just start playing games. Well, I kind of figured out a way that you can get started, and the first thing you want to do is kind of get organized. So you can find a complete table for the season that you want to do. Say, for example, the 2019-2020 English Premier League season, and you want to. At least I organized them starting from in alphabetical order: Arsenal down to Wolverhampton Wanderers. This is for the home side, and then you're going to do the same for in the same order: Arsenal for the top, and that's going to be for the away games. And so you can see I played the first week. I played 10 games, and I've already recorded the results. And so what you want to do is you want to go and put an X or some kind of mark that shows that so you don't play the same Arsenal. You don't want them to play Arsenal. That wouldn't make any sense. So you want to put some kind of X so that way you know not to do that game. And so, once you fill all this in, uh, the season will be complete. It's quite a lot of games, but this will help keep you organized and you'll know exactly who needs to play who and if it needs to be home or away. And so, this is probably the first start that you want to do. You want to create a table, and I could show you the it goes down further. Here's the results. This is just for the first week, 10 matches, and these are the results. And you want to this is probably the first thing you want to do. And here's the table for the first week. Everyone's played one game, and as you can see, it's organized, by points. And Wolves, they won 5-0, so they're currently on top. And I've got I even color coded, put lines underneath, for the leader, and then I did a blue line for Champions League, and then there's a red line here to denote who's currently in relegation. As you see, Man City they had a 2-0 loss to Aston Villa. So they're currently in relegation zone, although I don't expect them to stay there as the season goes. But you keep track of the wins, draws, losses. The GF stands for goals for, how many goals they scored, and GA goals against, how many goals they conceded, and the goal difference. And both positive and negative, and how many points they've scored. Now, really, that's all you really need to do as far as having a table. You can record other stats, like I have, keeping track of how many yellow cards each team has committed, and red cards, and also injuries. Now, you don't need to do that. That's just for uh, my own personal stats, but it's something that you could keep track of, and you can really keep track of as much or as little as you want as far as personal stats. But for the teams, you do need to keep track of the points, obviously. So wins, draws, losses, and you're gonna need to keep track of the tie-breaking, goal difference. So you're gonna need to keep track of how many goals they've scored, how many they've conceded, and the goal difference. After that, that's all you really need, and I just use a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet to keep track of this. And I printed this off so that way everyone can see, what it looks like. Here's the next. Here's the next chart. It's individual scoring. Currently, the leader, as you see, is Pookie. He scored a brace and his match. And yes, I keep track of penalty kicks, PK, goals off penalty kicks, and goals off free kicks, and corner kicks. And then I also note in parentheses the team that they play for. That helps keep track of stats as well if you want. This is totally optional. You don't need to keep track of individual stats if you don't want to. It's totally up to you. If you want to do a replay, you could do it all at the end. You could keep going week by week. You could do it after a couple weeks. As long as you come up with some kind of system that works for you, really that's all you need to do. But if you just want to figure out who won the league after a replay, you could probably skip this if you want. And then, you could always come back later and then calculate it all. But I found, based on my experience with other replay games, that trying to go back and calculate it all can be really tricky. That it's just easier if you do want to keep track. If you do want to know individual stats at the end of the season, it's better to keep track of it as it goes. Just easier. Then it becomes a big headache at the end of than trying to figure out. And if there is a discrepancy, the games are they're fresh in your mind. You're gonna remember what happened. And so I'll scroll down here. You can see who all currently has goals. If you wanted to pause it, and you can see after 1 week, that's the individual scoring. And here is the keeper stats for the first week. Again, this is totally optional. You don't have to keep track of this. This is just for my own benefit. I keep track of games played because in Dice United you roll before each match to see which keeper is going to start, if there is an option for the team. And so it's just a good idea to keep track of it. And so yeah, you can see saves, clean sheets, and goals conceded. Now how I work out saves is anytime it says like the keeper punched or keeper controls it, I'll record that as a save. If there's a keeper check, and it's not a goal, that I count that as that's considered a save. It even says save anyway. And there's also called keeper challenge, where it's an attack. If it's greater than the keeper rating, then it's a goal. If it's not, then it doesn't say what it is, but I consider that a save because it's directly the keeper is taking on a defender. So that's how I keep track of saves. You can kind of use your discretion if you want what you want to keep track of, what you want to count. But yeah, I just think it's kind of fun to keep track of some stats for the keepers. So this is the stats so far for after week 1. So I've discovered a new fast way of playing the game as opposed to pen and paper. There's a Excel program on the Dice United website that I found to be really easy to play with, because it basically does all the die rolls all at once, every kind of die roll, and you just type what happens. So it saves. At least for me, it's easier for me to type than write. It takes longer to write and roll the dice. I found that just looking at the die roll, and you can just kind of get through a rhythm and do the checks a lot faster and get through games faster. And at the end of each game, you can there's an option where you can just print it, and it has a easy print, so you can print them out or you can just save them, which I've saved all of them. I printed these. I don't know if I'm going to print every single one. Probably not, but I wanted to print these out so that way you can see what it looks like. It's very neat and organized, and then so you can see the team, which team did the action. You can see what action they are. PB stands for pitch battle. I put AK for attack, and then CK for corner kick. There's FK for free kick, and PK for penalty kick. That's not on this particular match, but those are the ones that I use. You can come up with your own way of abbreviating it, but this is the system that I come up with, and of course I put the +1 or +2, whatever minutes for stoppage time, and then for the next to you see the C, if to represent crunch time. So I'll do a parentheses, lowercase c, parentheses, and then it'll create a little copyright symbol. But it's kind of a neat little, notation to show that that's crunch time, C for crunch time. And it just looks clean, neat, organized. And you can, once you get into a rhythm, you can really knock them out. So here's Watford and West Ham. Watford won 1-0. Really at the last couple minutes, 90th minute, Deeney scored the game winner there. So I'll go through each result, that way you can see what happened for the entire week. Here's the next match. We have Tottenham at home against Southampton. Tottenham won the match 1-0. Harry Kane won the game winner in the 85th minute in crunch time. It was a lot of cards in this one. Quite a few yellow cards. A bunch of pitch battles, really. The first half was almost all pitch battles and cards. Southampton really didn't have any chance. Their only attack, really the only option was in the 54th minute, and the defense won a throw in, and that was it. Everything else for Southampton was a pitch battle. Very defensive affair for this one. Not a very exciting match, but Tottenham get the 3 points. This one was a bit of a shock. We have Aston Villa at home against Man City. Aston Villa won 2-0. It was really one. It was the first half was very defensive. Lots of cards. Not really much going on. The second half was a very chippy game. A lot of yellow cards. A few chances for Aston Villa, but finally in the 85th minute, Konsa scores, and then at the very last action, in the 90-minute plus stoppage time, 6 minutes of stoppage time, El Ghazi rubs salt in the wound to Man City and scores a second goal to win the game 2-0. So very chippy affair, a lot of cards, and definitely disappointing for Man City. Boy, Aston Villa, they get the win. One thing I forgot to mention is there was an injury in this match. Man City suffered an injury in the 45th minute plus 6 minutes of stoppage time. Their defensive rating was lowered to a 6, and that's what happened. So just wanted to mention that there was an injury. There was a couple injuries this week. Next match, we've got Everton at home against Brighton. Not an exciting matchup. It was just not much going on. It was a very defensive first half. and several yellow cards issued to both sides, and finally, we've got the 87th minute. Davies scores the game winner, and Brighton had a few chances at the end, but just couldn't equalize. So Everton get 3 points and the win. This was a very fun match to play. Lot going on. As you see, Leicester won 4-1, and that really started off with a goal by Jamie Vardy in the 13th minute. And yeah, there was just goals aplenty. Tielemans scored in the 44th minute, and Newcastle got one back. Shelvey scored, and it went into halftime 2-1. So okay, Newcastle they're down, but they're not out of it. But second half, they scored a couple more goals, and they really dominated possession. Leicester City move it up so you can see the end. Leicester City really did a good job taking care of the weaker opponent. So that's it. Full time, Leicester City get the 3 points against Newcastle United. This one we've got Bournemouth at home against Burnley. This one was a fun matchup too. It was a very close game, and it really kind of was back and forth a little bit. We started off with Keelan Wilson goal by Bournemouth in the 17th minute, so they take an early lead. And then right after, he picks up a yellow card and gives Burnley a free kick, although his shot was high, so no harm in that one. Bournemouth had the lead going to halftime, but second half, Burnley equalized with Rodriguez scoring a goal, and then it was 1-1 for the longest time, and finally we get to the 90-minute stoppage time plus 3 minutes. The final action, Vidra Burnley scores the game winner. It was I couldn't believe it when it happened. I was like, oh my goodness. Disappointing for Bournemouth. Burnley are excited. They win. They get the 3 points. So Burnley win that one 2-1. Well, what can I say about this one? It was all Wolves. Wolves came to play with this one. It started off. Crystal Palace had some chances. They picked up a couple of yellow cards, but they had a few chances. Both sides had some chances. Really, Wolves going to halftime, it was just a 1-goal lead. But the second half, all Wolves. Crystal Palace had a couple chances, but not much. And Wolves, they score 4 goals in the second half. Doherty gets a brace, and Wolves get the 3 points, and their 5-goal difference is enough to make them currently first in the table. So, big win for Wolves. Bad day for Crystal Palace. Don't really know what to say. They rolled really well, and they definitely their possession wasn't a huge advantage. Just 1-12, but they just dominated this one. That was a fun one. This was a really good match. We've got Norwich City at home against Sheffield United. Two newly promoted teams going at it. We start off in the 5th minute. Lundstrom scores a goal to get an early lead for Sheffield United. And that was it at halftime, just 1-0. But second half, we had all the rest of the goals. McGoldrick scores second one for Sheffield. But Pookie comes back in 71st and the 77th minute. We have a free kick he scores off of. And then we have a penalty kick he fouls up with. And so this was a good one. And then Sheffield in the 90 plus 2, Sharp scores a goal to take the lead 3-2 at this point. And then the very next action, the final action of the match, Sherbeni scores and equalizes to finish 3-3. Both sides get a point. This was probably one of the best matches. It was really exciting to play, and it was a lot of fun. So both sides are probably disappointed. Maybe feel like they could have won this one, but Pukki definitely the player of the game, man of the match for sure for this one. So this was a good match. I like this one. Both get a point. And here are the other two matches. I did videos on these, but I just wanted to show you that these are the final two matches. Chelsea at home against Arsenal. Chelsea won that match 1-0. And Manchester United and Liverpool, they finished a 1-1 or a draw. And there was an injury in this one as well. Manchester United had an injury. So you can see those videos. I've got those, and so I decided to have these two and be included, even though I did these on paper. But all the rest of the matches, well, with the exception of another one I just did in a new video. But the other ones for the rest of the week, they are done on computer on the Excel. I've just found that it's really a lot quicker to do. Once you get into a rhythm, you can really knock them out, and you can pretty much do a week's worth in a couple hours. Once you get through them, you can do a full week's worth, and I feel like it definitely makes completing a season replay possible, and that keeping track of what stats you want to keep track of is really up to you. And I just wanted to show how I went about doing this, and how I was able to complete quite a few matches in a relatively short amount of time. And so hopefully it gives you some ideas about what to do for your replays if you want to complete a season using the game Dice United. It's definitely possible, and I definitely recommend it. You can go to the website, the Dice United. It'll have a link to download that Excel program. One thing to mention when you're using that, when you click off of a particular cell, it will re-roll the dice. So you want to kind of have, you want to be able to look at all the different rolls and figure out what has happened before you click off, because you'll lose it. So it takes a little bit of practice. But you'll figure it out. And then if you can always use the other D100 rolls if you needed a secondary D100. And then if you needed another one, for example, to want to figure out who got a card or got a goal, you can then click, and it'll give you a new roll for it. But just want to give you a fair warning before you click off and go, oh, no, wait, I don't know what happened, with the other rolls. So just when you get that roll and try to figure out what has happened using all of the dice. But once you figure it out and get a rhythm going, it really you can really speed up your games, and you can really knock out a week's worth in about the time that it takes to play a board game or something, a couple hours maybe. So hopefully this was beneficial and useful, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this video, go on to like it, and if you subscribe and want to see other videos. And thanks for watching.